An Enneagram type 2 is very much, when they're at their best, secure. There's no feeling that there's a lack of love. There's plenty of love within them and outside them, and they feel held and secure in that. And there's also no sense of good or bad. Everything is fine as it is. There's no separation between me and them. There's no need to meddle in anything. It all can just be as it is. But there's a real sense of love. With all types, there's a split into non-duality, and for a type 2, they start to see the world in terms of good and bad. But because they know that good is better than bad, they become good. They make the choice that they're going to be good. So their self-image is good, and they are loving. And for very healthy type 2s, they will be inextinguishable fountains of love, and they will continue to give. I'm thinking of Mother Teresa like that, but even people who are not famous, healthy type 2s, will not need anything back. They have unconditional love. There's no end to it, and they will do good deed after good deed after good deed. So when a type 2 takes on this persona of or decides that they're going to be good, then they start to forget what their own needs are, which is actually that they need something because they see that the world out there needs something, and it needs them because they are good. So I've got this image of type 2 children I have taught in classrooms, and they are very much waiting for the teacher to need something. So if I would ever say, who can give out the books? Not like a type 3 trying to impress the teacher, but because they genuinely want to help. They want to do a task that will help out the adult or help other children, or they need to do it. It's like their purpose in life is to help out other people. And along with that, there's a sense of youthfulness and goody-goody, sort of being a goody-goody two-shoes that remains throughout childhood and even into adult life. So 2s, even when they're middle-aged or older, they can have a real sense of being like little kids. And this is interesting. Eli Jaxon-Bear wrote a book called From Fixation to Freedom, which is very good, and he noticed that 2s often have a strange mix of innocence and sexuality, especially females when they dress up. And it's true, I've noticed this. There's a 2 in my family, and one Christmas there was a big group of people, and she was mid-30s, and she came downstairs Christmas morning dressed in this extremely short skirt, and proceeded to bend down and take presents out from under the tree and distribute them around people. And it was pretty surprising choice of outfit, and I think most people thought it was inappropriate. I don't think she even realised. I think she just thought, oh, I'm being fun, you know, this is Christmas, this is my little Christmas, Santa's little helper outfit. And so maybe deep down she did notice, but it's that interesting mix of sort of flamboyant and big Bambi eyes, but also something quite sexual underneath that as well. So there's that, and conversely to that, you often find 2s in religion, and I know a lot of 2s who are Christians because it really appeals to them, the idea of being of service to others, and being God being love, and all of those things. So they're very often drawn to being Christians or other religions, I imagine. Now 2s genuinely are helpful. They're the sorts of people who will go out of their way to do things for you. When they walk around on a street, that they're often just thinking about other people, and they're looking around a shop, and because their mind is on autopilot thinking about other people, they will see something and go, oh, that would be perfect for Amy. She'd love that. I'm going to get her that. She'll really appreciate it. And at this level, they're not thinking, I want her to give me something back. It's just that they're being nice. They know that that would make that person happy. And I once mentioned a band I liked to a type 2 at a job I was in, and the next day they brought me a CD that they had that I could borrow. And it's that sort of thing, constantly thinking about ways they can help, which is a really nice quality. However, what starts to happen, I kind of hinted at it, is that there starts to be a sense of it not being unconditional, and that they give to receive something back. But a 2 really doesn't realise this. They think, I'm helpful, the world needs help, and I can see plenty of evidence that there's people out there who need my help. In fact, the more I see, the more I look, the more I see. And I don't need anything myself, but I'm just going to help and help and help. But really they do need something. They need the attention, they need the appreciation and the love of other people. And they feel that they will get that back if they do good deeds. Why wouldn't they get it back? They've been good. They've been saintly. Who wouldn't appreciate what they've done for them? So a type 2 will start to, it becomes a chronic, like an obsession that they have to help other people. They're always thinking of other people, and they can start to meddle in other people's lives even when it's not wanted. They can start to irritate other people because they're continually giving and giving and giving advice when they're not really needed, or giving presents that make a person think, oh God, now I've got to write a thank you letter for that or something. An example, I was in a student house when I was at university, and there were 6 of us, and there was a type 2 man there, and he, when it was someone's birthday, he took it upon himself to go out and buy these fancy cake tins and all the cake mix and decorations and candles and everything, and make this wonderful iced beautiful cake for this girl's birthday. On the surface, a really lovely thing to do, but it was the same evening, and we were going to get a takeaway, and he said, well, is it alright if I don't put in for this? Can everyone else buy it, because I already bought all those cake tins and everything. We never asked him to buy those cake tins, to go the whole hog with all of that. And then he continued it and just wouldn't let us forget about it. And even the girl whose birthday it was, a couple of days later, they were walking around a marketplace, and she pointed at a chunky ring that she liked the look of and said, oh, that's nice. And he said, well, I would buy it you, but I already spent a lot of money on your cake tins. She didn't even want him to buy her that ring. So it starts to become, and many of us as students in that house, we really found it difficult to live with someone like that. And this becomes really upsetting for a 2, because if from their point of view, they're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing for people. But people don't seem to appreciate it. And in fact, people are being nasty to me. People are treating me like I'm dirt when all I've done is be nice to them. So there becomes a lot of confusion, a lot of anger. And another example is someone told me this story. I thought it was quite funny, and she was staying at someone's house, and they said, would you like a sandwich, a toasted sandwich? And she said, oh yes please. And so they made her this very nice elaborate toasted sandwich and seemed to really enjoy making it, and gave it to her. And then they did this again another day, and then the next day the girl who had been having the sandwiches made for her, she came back and said, oh, I'd love another sandwich. Is it alright to have another toasted sandwich? And the girl went, what do you think I am? Some sort of sandwich making slave? Make your own sandwich! Like, out of the blue, suddenly this, excuse me, how dare you think that all I am is someone to do everything for you? There comes a point with more unhealthy 2s where they just stop, and people can look after themselves because they've done enough, thank you very much. And 2s can get really angry. There's a brilliant film, Misery, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a Stephen King book made into a film with Kathy Bates, and she does a brilliant portrayal of an unhealthy type 2. the intensity, because twos are very intense, I haven't mentioned that. They develop really intense crushes on people, not necessarily romantic, but could be friendship, but they really, that person means so much to them. And when that person who means so much to them starts to do things that they don't want them to do, they can really flip out. How dare you? How dare you? After everything I've done for you, how dare you? And they can get really crazy angry. At this level, twos are probably finding it hard to keep any friends or keep any family relations, because they're pushing everyone away. Their behaviour is so unpredictable and swings from doing something nice to doing something horrible to doing something nice, so it just can be really hard to be with them. So a two ends up quite alone, and this is the worst possible situation for a two, because they need people, and they've done so much for people, so they feel betrayed, they feel alone, they can get very depressed and very ill, unhealthy, and overeat, and just lots of things to try and fill this void that they're feeling. And it's a very sad state of affairs, and that is rock bottom for a two. All types, intrinsically, are good and deep down are aware of the truth. And the truth is that none of this really matters. This is all an illusion, and actually beyond this seeming world of form, everything is okay as it is. So for a type 2, it's always possible, from whatever state they're in, to raise back to a state of joy and well-being, because that's our birthright. We all should be able to do that. And it's always about relaxing, gently relaxing away from the habitual beliefs that have kept us trapped, taken us away from who we really are. And the two's belief is that they are someone separate from other people, and they are the ones who are going to take it upon themselves to help the world. So a two needs to just sit quietly and still and realise how often the impulse comes into their head to help someone else, how often their mind leaps to someone else. And when that happens, just say, okay, no, I know they're actually okay. I can see what that motivation is about, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do anything for them. I'm going to be on my own for a bit. I'm going to be on my own for a bit. And the more they can do that, the more they will start to find their centre again. They'll start to find their balance. And it will seem very difficult for a type 2, because they will be thinking, well, this is what the world needs. It needs people to do good deeds. But just for a while, a type 2 needs to just stop that, and allow themselves to be. And when they start to be good to themselves in this way, and just allow themselves to be, they can start to notice and distinguish between when the impulse to help is coming from genuine, unconditional compassion, because when it is, it just feels so right, so right. And when it's coming from a different place, which is a neediness, because when it comes from a neediness, it doesn't feel quite right. And that's a fine line to draw between two different sorts of giving, and it does take practice for a type 2. And the best way to do it is just when they notice the impulse to help, just relax that. Relax it, move away from it until they are 100% sure. And it's almost like they're not even having to do anything, it's just unfolding naturally. When they're 100% sure that what they're doing is just a good deed and it's coming from the right place. And that will always be there for a type 2. There's no need to fear that if you withdraw from doing good deeds, you will suddenly become a bad person. You won't. Type 2s are so loving, but they've got to raise back up the levels of health by relaxation and by coming back to the truth that nothing really needs to be done. Everyone's okay. It's just a natural unfolding of goodness that can happen. And when they go back up to that state, then they're complete again. And a type 2 is a wonderful person to be around, and automatically people will want to be around them because they're fun, they're radiant, and they're joyful. So that's the final video of this sequence of Enneagram types, and yeah, I might just leave it at that. I hope that if you've been watching them, then some of you have found at least some of them entertaining or amusing, or most importantly helpful if you're feeling down and feeling like, yeah, but what do I do if I'm this type? And there's always a way back. Alright then, bye bye.